Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the channel with another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my predictions between the Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan on Saturday this weekend. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down your predictions. I'd absolutely love to hear them. And yeah, let's get more into this. So this final is being played in Istanbul. The Atatürk Stadium holds 74,000, which for a Champions League game, unreal. By the way, the last Champions League final game it has held is the pretty historic one between AC Milan and Liverpool. Liverpool were 3-0 down at half-time, brought it back to 3-3 and then won 3-2 on penalties. That was back in 2005, so hasn't seen a Champions League final in just around 20 years. So this is going to be a great game. Let's dive more into the stats and the players and the managers of Manchester City and Inter Milan. So obviously the first team, English club, Manchester City, are on their way to the second Champions League final they've ever been in. Last time, a couple of years back in Porto, they did lose 1-0 to Chelsea in the Champions League final, which is quite devastating for Manchester City. It was the first time ever, but Thomas Tuchel's side at that moment for Chelsea, and that Kai Havertz goal won them the Champions League against Man City a couple of years back. But since that game, Pep Guardiola's side, he has absolutely just made football so much better with his tactics and everything. He's one of the managers which every other manager in football literally looks up to. The way he's made this Manchester City side and turned them into literally the best team in the world is absolutely unreal. And let's talk more about Erling Haaland. He's got 12 goals in the Champions League so far, which is incredible. And overall for the whole season, he's got 52 goals in 52 games, which for any player in any single league is just pretty stupid to us. It's just so good. He's literally like a robot, isn't he? But he's definitely going to be the one to watch in this game. Inter Milan will need to work ways with the tactics to try and defend him, because he's going to be unstoppable on Saturday, I believe. Obviously, so far, Manchester City have won the league. Absolutely incredible the way that Arsenal were pretty much top of the table for the majority of the season, and Manchester City clawed it back, beating Arsenal twice and winning the league. They also beat Manchester United in the FA Cup final, so they are on the way to do the treble. The only other side which has done that is Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United side back in the 90s, so there's been many debates on which one could be better, but it really depends. Everyone has their own opinions, but this is the second club that could possibly do the treble. Manchester City's group consisted of themselves, Dortmund, Sevilla and FC Copenhagen. They absolutely just 14 points, 6 wins, 4 draws, 0 losses. They haven't actually lost in the Champions League this season. Pretty easy group for them. They did get a 0-0 draw at Copenhagen, but that is the way Man City do things. They've been just on top of it this season. They haven't lost a Champions League game so far, and I'm not sure if many sides have actually done that in the Champions League before. So this team is just unreal. Manchester City are the top goal scorers in the Champions League. I believe it's 32 goals. As we talk about that more, in the round of 16, they beat Leipzig 8-1 on aggregate, which is just stupid. It was 1-1 draw in Leipzig in the first leg and then smashed them 7-0 at home. In the quarterfinals, they beat a very good Bayern side. A lot of fans thought Bayern would go all the way into the finals. I think the way that the brackets were done, a lot of fans thought it was unfair because they were putting all the good teams into one bracket and all the lower teams into the other bracket, but that's the way it goes. Man City beat a very good Bayern side 4-1 over aggregate, and then it was probably the final that was predicted mostly from everyone, Manchester City versus Real Madrid. But wow, Manchester City 1-0 draw away in Madrid and then beat them 5-1 over aggregate. Absolutely incredible the way that Pep has just invented this side into one of the best teams in the world is just amazing, and every manager's literally looking up to him. So they are in the final with Inter Milan after beating two of the best teams in the world at the moment. Before we move on to talk about Inter Milan, I just wanted to say Inter Milan have had the most clean sheets in the Champions League this season. That is 8, but Manchester City are only one behind with 7. So I feel like this could be a very tight scoreline on Saturday. Now we move on to Inter Milan. The opponents against Manchester City, they did come third in the league, so even if they do lose this final, they will have Champions League qualification for next season. Inter Milan's top goal scorer in the Champions League this season is Edin Dzeko with 4 goals, which is not really the best, but he hasn't played every single game. And then we move on to Martinez and Barella. I think Martinez has become a lot better in the second half of the season. He started to score a lot more goals in the league especially. That's Martinez and Barella that have got 3 goals each. And also Federico Di Marco is the top assist. I believe he's got 7 or 8 this season, which he will be very important in the final if Inter Milan want to win this game. Inter was in a group. They were probably in one of the group of deaths, to be honest with you. They did come second in the group. So in the group they had Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Victoria Plzen. One of the group of deaths. Probably most fans thought Bayern Munich would come first. Obviously they did literally whitewash the group, didn't lose a game, and then most probably fans thought Barcelona would come second. So the way that Inter came second on 10 points, Barcelona 8, knocked them into the Europa League, which shocked a lot of fans, was very, very impressive. Now we go on to the round of the 16. They beat a very good compact Porto side 1-0 over aggregate, 0-0 and 1-0. So that was very good. In the quarterfinals, they beat another very good side, Benfica, 5-3 over aggregate. Probably one of the most 2 entertaining quarterfinals that we have ever watched, to be honest. Very impressed by that. And then on the semi-finals, I think this game was watched literally all over the world. They beat rivals AC Milan 3-0 on aggregate. A lot of fans are saying about Rafael Leao that he was injured. But overall, in the first leg, they scored 2 quick-fire goals to go 2-0 up and defended quite well at the end. AC Milan were putting a lot of pressure onto Inter Milan, but they stuck through it and then also won 1-0 in the second leg, which is very impressive as well. They're very good defensively and attacking-wise. This is going to be a very good game in the final. Obviously, Inter Milan do come into this game as the underdogs, but you never know. It's happened before in many cup competitions in the world. But my prediction for this final, I do believe Manchester City are going to get their first ever Champions League. I believe over the 90 minutes, they are going to beat Inter Milan 2-1. I think just because of the sheer power of Manchester City's squad, they've got Haaland, De Bruyne, Alvarez, Ederson, Ruben Diaz, John Stones. You can name many names, but don't write off Inter Milan. I think they will come with the fight and the passion that they always have had this season in the league. They did come third, so even with a impressive Champions League run, it's very good to come third in the league, so they get qualification for the Champions League next season. But I do believe Pep Guardiola's side will beat Inter Milan 2-1. Probably Haaland to get a goal, but do not write off Inter Milan. My predictions could be totally wrong, but I'm going to go with Manchester City to win the Champions League against Inter Milan on Saturday. And that is the end of the video of my predictions between Manchester City and Inter Milan in the Champions League final this Saturday. I'm sure most of you will be tuned in. I'm looking forward to watching this game. Please, before you go, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Please comment down your thoughts and your predictions on this game on Saturday. It's going to be a great game. Goodbye.